Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sending Ravens. And as promised, I've got Ashley Sage with me.
Hello, everybody.
Awesome. How you doing today, Ashley?
I'm doing pretty good. No complaints today.
Good. Well, you're looking good, Ashley.
Thank you.
You're always looking sharp with that blue hair.
Thanks.
Kind of has that off-worlder look to you.
Right?
Or maybe an ocean look. I kind of get a bit of a mermaid with the blue hair too.
I'll definitely go for mermaid any day.
You'll go for mermaid? Okay, good. Now,
Oh, yeah.
Ashley and I have actually known each other for many, many years. So if any of you out there haven't watched our Deep Dive Fridays, we do Deep Dive Fridays together on the Tarot by Janine, which is a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we deep dive into different topics, in particular, sort of the dark cult type topics. Now, it's getting harder and harder with the censorship, but we do the best we can. Sometimes we even talk about really fun sort of mystical creatures and mystical topics. And that you really shine in the mystical, Ashley, actually.
Right? I brought in some of that stuff.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
You're
the dragon. You're the connection. You have a dragon totem, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do, which was pretty fascinating to find. So I definitely had to bring that up because I got a lot of questions about everybody else's dragons and if everybody does. And it's a fact that everybody does have a dragon that does protect them here on the earth plane, which is fun. Yeah, right?
Wow, that is cool. So when you're reading someone, so Ashley is a tarot reader, by the way, in case you didn't know that. If you're just joining and you didn't know who Ashley Sage was, she reads the tarot and I recommend her readings. I actually, should I tell them?
Yeah, go ahead.
I taught Ashley. I taught Ashley how to read. She took every one of my classes. Tell everybody how we first met, Ashley.
That was actually, I was in my early 20s. I think I was 21. So it was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was working in a spa and the owner had propositioned you to come and work at the location because she had just expanded. So you had your own room, which was perfect, right? And it was really nice. You could decorate it however you wanted. And it was like a couple days in, and I had been doing your aesthetics already, but it was like a couple days in, you were like, you should get a reading so you can explain, right? Yep, right. And you were getting me to come in to get a reading so that I could like tell my clients what it was all about.
Right.
And I was into this stuff and you literally had blown my mind. And the stuff you had gotten is still coming true to this day because I was so young, right? You picked up on so much stuff that I was so open to. So it was amazing.
Didn't we get that you would be a reader one day, or at least explore the magical side? I think we did.
Yes. And it was so funny because my goal then was just to like be manager, which I eventually did become manager of the spa. So my big thing there was I just wanted to be manager. And I was like, okay, like maybe I'll help run this business. And you're like, no, you're going to work for yourself and you're going to be really famous and like do tarot cards for a living. And I was like, right? Because this was like 20 years ago, of course. So you'd picked up on that like right away. Clearly, whenever spirit tells things, like made no sense to me until it all started falling into place, right? Because sometimes I'll get weird stuff and I was like, does this even resonate? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, see what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
I've read a lot of people where they literally thought I was crazy. And I've had some of them come back to me and apologize. Actually, one gal walked out of a reading so mad because she didn't believe a word I said. It was a really dramatic reading. And it was like it would change her whole life if she listened to what I said, but I won't give the details, obviously. And she walked out, didn't pay, even though she'd been 3/4 of the way through the reading.
Right.
But very angry at me, and came back about a year and a half later after everything I said came true to the letter. Like exactly how I said, yeah, which is a rare kind of reading, but I guess she really needed it. And sometimes we have to give the bad news and it's really hard. And I try to be so delicate. But how do you feel about giving bad news, Ashley, when you're reading?
Because I learned from the best. I'm pretty decent at, getting it across, right? If it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad. But then I go into the, spiritual part, like you can't avoid certain things, or if you're going to continue doing this, nothing good's going to happen. I've had to do most of the bad news actually for like my friends. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I just have to send them to different readers so that they actually listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if I tell you, like
Yep.
certain things need to happen for the universe to actually fall into place, right? Like chapters, like you have to read chapter 1 and 2 before you read 3. You can't just go right to 3,
Yep.
right? It's not going to make any sense.
That's
so it's kind of like with tarot card reading and channeling, you have to do A and B to get C.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just go right to C, but people will always hear C.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? They're like, yeah, this is how it's going to be. And they'll forget about A and B completely. And I was like, oh, so you forgot about that. So let's try again. Right? Because we do get tries, right, in the universe.
We do. And there's all these steps you have to take. And often a reader will say, if you do this, this, and this, or you put this kind of intention on it, here's what could happen. Yeah. And the part, that in between part, some people just they space that part out. And, like you said, they go right to C or whatever. And now they've got that outcome, and the outcome didn't happen. They come back and you say, but did you do this, this, and this? And did you drop that thing you were doing over here? Of course they didn't.
Well, no, like I needed it, and like I couldn't. And you're like, well, that was a crucial thing to getting the result, right? So the universe has its own timing, right? And the cards just pick up on your options.
Exactly. And here's what'll happen if you do this, this, and this. If you don't do this, this, and this, it'll probably just stay like this.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's sometimes hard to be a reader.
Right. Well, and then of course with the timelines, as we've talked about on Deep Dive Friday, you've talked about it on your channel, with so much going on right now and so many people becoming spiritually awakened and just more aware of their own existence on Earth and all this stuff, that the timeline keeps jumping. And of course, when I was younger, I kind of knew like weird things were happening. I was like, something happened in the universe. Like, I don't know what I couldn't explain it. But now I know that the timeline can switch, especially with so much going on right now. The timeline has been shifting so much lately. So I'll be like, these things are going to be happening by the end of the month. And then all of a sudden we look at it again because it hasn't happened. It's like, okay, so our timeline shifted. So now we have another 2 months, right? So that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating. But at the same time, I always like to remind everybody, we are changing the whole vibration of our entire world.
Seriously. And this is like centuries of stuff we're changing right now.
Yeah. And we're routing out truly demonic evil. Yeah. And people have to actually digest what's happening. This can't just happen fast. Like, it has to go, and it's actually been going quite fast, but compared to what though, of course, right? But compared to thousands of years of this being in play, it's actually shifting really quickly. Yeah. But that's hard to explain to somebody who just wants it all to be over.
Right? Yeah. We all want it to be over, but it's, you have to wait for the whole world. Yeah. Can't leave anybody behind.
Yeah. So when I first met you, Ashley, my first instinct was, and this happens to me sometime when I meet people, but I thought I knew you in a past life. And then I just watch for how do we interact and what feels comfortable. And that'll describe what past lives we might have had, like what was our relationship. And what I noticed was you were the only person that could follow me around, which you were really good at, by the way, and kind of organize me. Yeah. Right. Because I'm a bit of a what's a nice way to say this? I'm a bit of a scatterbrain.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
A scatterbrain. Yeah. So I'd forget my purse. You'd literally be walking behind me with it because you'd have grabbed it. And we'd go for lunch, I'd forget something. Yeah, you were amazing. But I usually don't like people organizing me. And but I felt really comfortable. And the more I got to know you, the more I was like, this woman was either a nurturing caregiver to me. So I would have been younger than you in another lifetime, or literally my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was pretty funny.
Maybe my older sister, because then we discovered a deep love of hip hop, and even what do they call it? Gangster hip hop. I know that sounds atrocious to some people listening. If they're looking at me, they're like, she can't like gangster.
No, she loves it.
Yeah, I do. I don't
love
know. I have a Venus in Aries. So Venus in Aries, we love things like that. We're very
Yeah, very
youthful.
brooding,
We
kind of
are-
rough.
Yeah, we like that. Okay, but we don't, the rest of my personality doesn't align with that at all. Okay, but when your Venus could describe what you like in music, decorating, how you might dress, how you present that way, and what you're attracted to. Okay, so that it's just a small part of your personality, and it can make you a very odd duck because you can be really conservative in all of these ways, but if you got a Venus in Aries or a Venus in Leo, or all of a sudden you got a real flair for the different, for sure. And maybe, yeah, I even like other people are really put off by super egotistic and even loud and obnoxious people. I find them fascinating. Now, not for long, because once I get to, once my spiritual side kicks in, it's like, okay, we're not tolerating this. But for the most part, I can tolerate people like that. Really abrasive people do not offend. I'm not easily offended unless it's a real dig towards me personally. I'm not easily offended. And you're like that a bit too, aren't you? Not easily offended, at least from, what I know about you.
Right. I love to, and I love human stories. I love to hear about everybody's lives. I want to know what you've been through and how you're doing, where you're going. So it makes my life a lot easier that I get to like counsel and help people get through that. Right.
You couldn't read cards every day if you didn't like that. You have to have a real natural curiosity for humans and a natural caring for them.
Oh, yeah.
And like, and some readers do it just for money. Okay. So they happen to have an intuitive sense, but they don't actually care about people. Those ones, I don't think end up really doing as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
They'll burn out.
It just doesn't work out as much. You don't have as many people coming. Right.
Yeah.
It's the same with people who only ever see the negative. And I've been to a reader like that before.
Yeah.
Where they only see the worst case scenario. And I'm like, how did you get there?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
brutal. I've been to a few of those.
Right.
Now, as a young child, Ashley, what was like, did you have any signs pointing towards where you'd end up today? Like any kind of odd spiritual experiences, connectedness with off-worlders, anything?
Well, my family was quite in touch. Like we would have ghost story conversations, like our family, and then like my uncles and cousins and stuff like that. We would bring up ghost stories because all of like it seemed like a lot of our houses were haunted. So I'm gonna blame that on my dad's side of the family because they brought in a lot of the spiritual stuff. Like, and he even has stories of, seeing like angels and burning bushes and so, like seeing things, right? Which is quite intense. So I grew up with those stories, and then I, of course, had seen ghosts in our home and out in certain areas. I could tell like where to go in nature, especially because it's my favorite place to be. If I was like safe in certain areas or if I should turn around and leave. Yeah. But one of the biggest things when I first started getting into my like spiritual self, let's call it, I was in Catholic school, so it wasn't very supported. Right. But I distinctly remember waking up, and had happened a few times when my great grandparents and grandparents had passed away, and I would be up and I would, get up, stumble to the bathroom, and I'd just be standing there, and there would be this giant white orb, right? And it would just float through the air. And I was like, what? And the first two times I wasn't quite sure what happened. By the third time I knew somebody had passed away. And I was just like, okay, I just have to wait until I know who this is, right? Until we get a phone call. And I was quite young. I was about 17. And this had happened a few times, right? And then I had, like most people, turned it off. And it wasn't until I met you that I actually got to turn it back on. And then it came in like full force. Yeah, seeing like angels, right? As soon as I gave it permission to like come back in, and I was okay with it. I started seeing angels. I started seeing, I got in touch with the dragons eventually. I started seeing fairies, which you got me connected to at first. And then I started working in on it. And then seeing like my guides and ancestors and stuff like that. Yeah, it got me really into that spiritual side. But I had always been fascinated when I was a kid to like different cultures and different ways of connecting to earth was my thing. I was like, there's got to be something else other than just religion and like worshiping in in a box to some guy, right? There's got to be something else. So I was always connected to that. Yeah.
Now, when we first, so Ashley and I, we had a really magical experience when we both decided to leave that said spa. Well, how many years into it was it? 2 years?
I think it was about 2 years we were there.
2 years we were there together. And then we decided to step out. Things were crumbling. We'll just say that. The spa was crumbling. And we decided, okay, let's just step out and get a little place on our own. And you can do your aesthetics. I'll do my tarot. I was also teaching tarot. And by the way, Ashley was an attendance on every one of those courses that I did in those 2 years.
I loved it.
Had all the classes. So she was kind of quietly in the background and taking notes, right? So it was very subtle, but I noticed Ashley was at all the classes.
Yeah, you let me sit in because I would be like, I'm just having a hard time with these. Can I just sit in? You're like, of course. Yeah. We always had a great time too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So off we went one day. It was the first day we decided we're going to find a spot. So we didn't know, were we going to get a house in a neighborhood? Were we going to get a business location? Like we didn't have a lot of money to work with. So we were like on a tight budget and a tight time constraint too, as I recall. So we were like, oh my goodness, this is going to be interesting. But I felt really, really confident. Ashley met me at my house. We walked literally up my block. Didn't we? Or took the car? We took the car.
We kind of drove around the area that we had the shop in for a bit, kind of looked at a couple places that were around there, just different options, right?
But there was this little house on the corner and it wasn't very far from where I lived, actually. And the people were taking furniture out of it and they were putting it on the lawn. So I said, oh, let's go ask them if they're moving out and maybe we can get the name of the landlord. Right. I just had a feeling about it, right? So we waltz in while they're busy moving their stuff out. I'm sure they maybe didn't.
Yeah, they were having like a garage or like a lawn sale or whatever at the same time. So we were like, we'll just browse and see what's up. Yeah.
Turns out I knew them. So they were people I knew from the Haida Gwaii who had needed a place in the city for a while, and they were on their way back to the Haida Gwaii. So that was brilliant. And of course, it was like a homecoming week with the two, the couple and myself. And Ashley was just like, "What's going on here?" And we had that place like they helped me nail down the landlord. We had something to sign by that night.
Yeah, we were signing by that night and getting it ready. Yeah.
It was so scary, but it was so exciting. So we got ourselves a little place. Oh, it was a dump, mind you. It needed a solid 10 days of
oh my God, I think
wallpaper and
we worked every evening as long as we could.
Yeah.
And it was painting and cleaning and getting everything set up. Oh God, it felt like it took forever. Yeah. But it was probably only about 2 weeks.
I invested a whole $530 on my desk, that desk I got, and a chair. Yeah. And that was the most amount of money I'd ever spent at one time. I mean, I know it sounds other than rent.
It's a lot of money, right?
It was hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, we got this place looking good, and we we made a sign. You made a sign. Didn't we call it Sage? Just Sage?
Yeah, it was just Sage.
Yeah, we had to be careful because you could only put one sign in the window if you're in a residential area.
And it didn't have a phone number, it just had the name.
Yeah, just
because you had all your clientele, I had all my clientele.
Yeah, and we worked that place for years. First thing Ashley did was she completely gridded the place. So that's when I knew I'm dealing with a magical woman. First time I'd ever seen anybody do that, actually. You went to a stone shop and you literally gridded every inch of the place and the outside to bring in, like you were making all these magic intentions. And then I knew, okay, we're going to get along just great because we both think the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
We were able to flow and be strange together, which was great. Yeah. It was a safe place to be strange. And then you introduced me a couple of your friends. I introduced you to a few of mine. Yeah. They're still around, right?
And we shared a lot of clientele. Yeah, a lot of my clients ended up getting aesthetics done with Ashley. And of course, a lot of her clients ended up being regular, getting their cards read regular. So it was a booming business. Took us about a year, but we were by then we were steady booked.
And we were slamming. It was great.
Yeah. And one day I'll never forget, I came in and you were on your hands and knees and you were doing something like it looked like maybe washing the floor, but we had wood floors. There was no need to wash on your hands and knees. You could have just used a mop.
Yeah.
But I was like, what is she doing? And then I had a closer look at what you were washing the floor with, and it was some kind of potion. And then you told me you create these potions. You were really subtle about it.
Yeah.
All along, you were making these things. What was that called again?
It's technically it's called Florida water, which is like an abundance.
Florida water.
From like
not interesting.
it's from like way back. And I had like figured out how to make it, right? Because you could buy it, whatever, but I was like, I know how to do this. So I like concocted my own. And to this day, people still swear by it because I make little batches and I'll give it to like friends or family or people needing a little bit of extra cash. I usually spray it in the room before I do readings to help all my clients pick up on just the essence of it.
Yeah. So tell the audience what it does, I believe it does, because it really worked.
It brings in a very steady cash flow, which was amazing. Yeah, it was, I think, my second time making that, and I had just made like a nice little batch for myself and I was playing around with it. It was working, and then somebody had told me that I could rub it on like the door and the walls and like the floor. So I was like, I'm doing it. So I did the main room for both of us. I did my room, and then I waited till you were done and I did your room. And sure enough, that had definitely helped. We got so busy after that.
We sure did. Yeah. Ashley was always pulling some surprises like that.
Yeah. And then where you'd come in and be like, so I did this to your room really quick. Okay.
I loved it. The secret life of Ashley Sage. Yeah, right? Always making the potions, always gathering things from nature. You love your nature walks. We live close to the mountains, and every weekend Ashley'd be out in the mountains having a big nature walk. She could never convince me to go because I'm too lazy.
I'll find a nice hike, something level for you.
Yeah, something level. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Now, just for fun, can we swap readings?
Yeah.
Just to give everybody an idea of how you read and sort of your approach. And what would you call your style, by the way? Like, do you have a style that you go towards? I mean, I know you were trained by me, but you developed on your own too. What's your favorite kind of reading?
Oh my God.
Like to talk
I do love spiritual advancement. It's just my journey right now, and seeing how important it is for the world right now is so important for me. So I love having people connect to spirit and see what it actually feels like and who to talk to and how to like create their own little ritual of connecting. Because sometimes we try too hard, or we don't try enough, or we don't know if we're even connecting because we don't hear anything or we don't see anything. So I love guiding people gently into like what you can practice, what's the perfect way to talk about things, because a lot of people are scared that they're going to tap into something they don't want to as well, right? Not do that, right? This is how we're going to tap in. So I love that stuff. That's my number one. Everything else is great. Like, I love it. I love tapping into everything. Like, let's see when you're going to move or fall in love or change your job. Yeah, sure. But spiritual advancement, it's my favorite.
Spiritual advancement. Okay. And do you like people to have formulated questions when they come in, or do you like just to lay out a reading, see what you get first?
I love it when people come with a couple questions, at least one or two, right? Because a reading is for you, right? Let's see what the universe wants you to know and what you want to know, right? Like, of course we can go in blind and figure out what we can touch on, but like, if there's something very important, like you want to see about this specific school you went to, or this weird teacher you talked about, or you had a weird dream. I touch on dreams all the time and I love it. Right. So I need a little bit of something to get into somebody's energy. I find sometimes going in blind, I'm like, well, whatever, let's see what happens. Because I don't know anything about what's going on in your life. I don't know if you're working or if you're in a relationship, right? Like, so sometimes I like to get in a little bit just to get to know my client, of course, and then see what's going on.
What's your deck you're using these days, Ashley?
This is the Gilded deck. So it's kind of gorgeous. Oh, what beautiful tower.
Oh, yeah, the tower.
But it's got like there we go, some gold gild on it. Oh, it's so it's so pretty.
It is pretty. Yeah. Very
right?
nice.
It's so nice. So it's based on the Rider-Waite picturing, right?
Uh-huh.
Which is really good. So it's quite familiar to the basic deck, right? So that I'm familiar with, but it's got that gold on it. So it's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So when someone books a reading, do they see you when they get the reading, or are you pointed at the cards, or how do you do it?
They can see me and the cards, right? If we're doing a
Oh.
video. So I have an option to do Zoom. I can do Zoom with them. We can do FaceTime over on iPhone. I have WhatsApp, which is completely free. So it's free texting, free video call, international, which is great. So you
Yeah.
don't have to pay for anything. So I do those, and then I could do like a video chat. So you see my face and the cards. So I have it angled far enough away that you
Yeah.
can see me and the cards at the same time, which is nice.
Wow. Okay. That people do like it when they can see the reader, not
Right.
just the cards.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
people just want to see the cards. Some people want to see me in the cards. Some people don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
You know,
Makes
it's up to
sense.
you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, so how far ahead are you booked these days? If somebody was booking in, and usually don't they go through Instagram? You have your.
It's linked onto Instagram. You can book through the direct app. It's called Vergaro right now. And you just have to look up Ashley Sage Esoterics or Calgary Ashley Sage.
Okay.
It'll come up, right? Because you can search by cities. And I'll be up there. I think I've got a couple more spaces at the end of July right now, but currently I think it's into September, which is a little cuckoo bongo. Is it happening a little quicker than I expected? I do have a cancellation list, of course,
Yeah.
because some people just can't keep the appointments. We've got jobs, we've got commitments, we've got lives,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. So send me an email and I can usually get you onto the cancellation list a little bit sooner, depending on how the cancellation list is moving, which is great.
Right. That's good to know. That's good to know, hon.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
And yeah, and since you like the more spiritual or out there questions, so as opposed to maybe political or whatever, like every reader has their forte. I mean, I talk about people's own personal lives as well, but I also loved business questions, interesting, and political questions. But
you were so good at business. I remember there were so many people that would come to you for business questions, and there was like this secret little underground group of guys that would come and ask you about business. Yeah, I loved it. I was like, this is amazing.
I had a 30% male clientele, which is very rare for a reader.
Totally.
Yeah, they mostly have women and then the odd fellow, but I literally had at least 30% male clients, regular clients, and we'd go over all their business stuff, and we wouldn't even touch on their personal life. Some of them wouldn't even let me go near it.
Right? They're
even
like,
if I wanted to, they'd be like,
they just wanted business advice.
And that's okay, right? But not every reader would tolerate that or even likes that. And that's okay. Every reader, you got to find the right reader for yourself. And it's good to just try around, right? To find somebody who says it your way. And just by knowing you, Ashley, I know you're really correct. And when I have a question, I'll phone you up and say, could you throw out some cards on this? Because, we're friends and we do that for each other. Oh, what a handsome guy. Oh my goodness.
This is Toad.
Yeah.
So if you get a reading with me, he's usually going to come and bother us.
There. Toad. He's helping out.
Right? He loves a good reading.
Yeah. Awesome. So the question I wanted to ask is, I was on a call with a fellow named James Gilead. Hope I said his name right. And
Gilead.
Yeah. Wonderful fellow, very fascinating, and has a ranch. I think it's in California, but I'm not 100% sure. It's in the desert, I think. California.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And he, over his ranch, it's a real special spot where they have a lot of sightings, UFO and off-world sort of activity. And on any given night, actually, people go there and they get in lawn chairs at night and look up in the sky. And, he does all kinds of workshops, and, the guy's a really, really, really cool guy. Anyway, he was asking me questions, and then we got talking about the various different kinds of off-worlder that show up on Earth, kind of thing. And one of them he described as a panther-like body, but they stood upright. And right away, right in the reading, it occurred to me when I was little, usually, I think around 3, this is what my family tells me. I don't have an actual memory of this, but I've been told this a lot of times by family members, in particular, my mom and dad. I had a series of nightmares for years, probably for about a year and a half. where I would describe seeing what I thought was I described it as a panther.
Yeah.
So I might not have used that word, but a big cat maybe or something. But my parents decided I must have been seeing a panther shadow, or a shadow that looked like a panther. But I had a recurring, what they thought was a nightmare about this panther. But it was always standing upright, and it was kind of a pink tone, as I recall. That this is what I was told that I would describe. So it was like a pink, which is funny because there's the pink panther.
Right. I get, this is true. Yeah.
I like a flesh toned panther. Anyway, and it woke me up, and I would wake up screaming. And I guess I was quite annoying. Like after a year and a half of this, it got really annoying. My parents tried everything. They thought it was shadows on the wall. But always I thought it was standing upright. And even apparently I would tell them it was leaning on the dresser. There was this one tall dresser we had. They even went as far as to change the dresser. But anyway, so I kept having these nightmares. Finally, I guess somehow they went away, because then I stopped waking everybody in the house up. And when he talked about these panther beings, right away I knew that's who was visiting me. And it all clicked. Yeah, it was like, oh my goodness. So I want to know if that's true. So I want to ask, were those panther off-worlders visiting and keeping an eye on me even when I was like 3? Did I have a visitation and I just didn't know?
Whoa. Okay. All right. Do you want to pick, or do you want me to?
You got 3 piles there?
I do.
I'll take the middle.
Okay. Interesting.
It's always so exciting when a card reader says, interesting.
Right, I know, but I love it because I'm like, oh, this, I did not expect this, right? You never know what you're gonna get. It's amazing. Yep. So we have the Hermit in the back in the past, and then the Queen of Wands with this Page of Pentacles, and we have the Five of Cups in between. So this Panther figure is actually kind of upset you because it was trying to get a hold of you, right? Yep. It was trying to get a hold of you, which is interesting, right? Especially with this Hermit in the back. It's like you have a stronger connection to this Panther community, this Panther energy, this Panther dimension, whatever you want to call it. Okay. It's almost like you have like friends there or family, or you were there, right? Because of the Hermit. So you could have spent time on the Panther dimension. So it was trying to get a hold of you, and you were so scared. It was like, well, okay, I guess I'll try again another time or something like that. Really? And it looks like it probably waited quite a while, because we in the future we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles with the Six of Wands, because you still love Panthers, don't you?
I absolutely. I even collect like those Panther lamps. I used to collect them.
Right, and the little figurines, they're always in your house, the paintings. Yeah. So it's almost like they waited a couple of years, because we have the Seven of Pentacles in the future with this Queen of Pentacles and the Six, to contact you and to kind of have this maybe connection. So maybe this is your ability to actually channel. Maybe you channel from this dimension, right? You have connection there, right? Because you and I both know we channel from 2 totally different energies, right? Especially when we're channeling together, I was like, where are you getting where are you right now, right? I can tell that, right? So who knows, maybe you have a stronger connection to this than you think.
Wow, that really feels right.
Okay, I pulled 2 more, and we've got the Eight of Cups and the Three of Cups. So this kind of feels like you got to make a little bit more of an effort to tap into this energy. I think you're going to have way more fun with this. So not that you're not doing it, but if you were consciously doing it, or just like channeled in some Panther vibes or whatever, did like a mini meditation, sat with one of your Panther statues, right? Figured it out. I think it would be fun.
Sweet.
They got some fun information.
Okay. I'm gonna make an effort, and I might even look a little more into other people talking about these Panther beings.
Right?
Just try to get as much.
Funny because I've heard of the kitty dimension because a lot of people say like cats are very interdimensional.
Of course.
So I was like, wait, hold on.
Wow.
No, they do not want to be called the kitty dimension. This is something completely different. So this could be like a whole different planet, whole different type of reality. They're like, yes, we look like panthers, but we're not cats.
Okay, right? Beautiful.
Interesting.
Wow. Well, panthers are a force to be reckoned with energetically, and right. It does bring up this story that when I was meditating, so I used to go to this meditation center with an old boyfriend of mine many years ago, Scorpio fellow, and we used to go to this meditation center. To be honest, I'm not a big meditator, and I'm kind of bad at it. I always thought, and I would just sort of zone out. Okay, so one day after I'd been there a few times, maybe several times, the owner of the house, so it was at somebody's house, this East Indian fellow, and he's a very evolved guy. You could just feel his wisdom and evolution. And he came over to me. He knew my boyfriend for many years before this fellow brought me there. So, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm with, so-and-so. And I was, trying to learn to meditate." And he said, "You're way past this, girl." He said, "Every time everybody else goes into a meditation, your energy turns into a panther and slides upstairs and watches my wife make the lunch."
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
He goes, "This is boring to you. You're way past this. You don't need to come here." I was like, wow, okay.
Okay, right? So meditating isn't for everybody, right? If you have this interesting connection that works for you, right? Like sitting in a tub or sitting in nature, right? Like whatever your form of meditating is your form, right?
It is definitely not for everybody, but that was really funny. So, okay, I'm definitely going to make a conscious effort to really connect with those panthers.
It looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah. And I'd love to have you ask me a question.
Oh my
God. I always save that to the last with my guests. So you can ask me anything personal or about the world situation, any which way, about business.
Well, okay. So I've been connecting to, like, depending on where I go, like I'll do about 4, 5, 6 minutes of meditation after some breath work. And that's just to help me center. I'll just kind of let my higher self go wherever I need to go. And the other day I was trying to figure out something because I was trying to see if I had any other information I needed to learn. And they're like, "No, there's nothing here." But my dragon came in and it kind of took over. And he's this big red guy. I love it. Big fire dragon, right? Big Aries here. So it's beautiful fire in my sign. But he'd come in, kind of envelop me, and then put me in this big egg. And I know it's a big protection thing. So is this something I should be worried about? Or is there, like, am I okay? Is this a global thing?
Okay, interesting. Surrender to, there's a secret, somebody's secretly watching or keeping an eye on you.
Okay.
And or secretly trying to invade your energy. Okay, so surrender to, so that leads me to believe it was a protection they were doing. They want to keep you in protection. Somebody's trying to get to your energy. Okay, and they're going to come at it as if they like you. So somebody could
interesting
you like a new, potential romance. You might have a past life feeling, because I got a feeling there's history with you two. So they've sent in, so I don't think it's an honorable or good energy. Otherwise the dragon wouldn't protect you. So they're sending in this energy that's going to come and kind of try to schmooze you, but surrender to stay away from it, kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting.
It's not to your best interest. Just walk away.
Wow.
Walk away. And because I feel like they're going to try to pull you in again. And I think you knew them in a past life and they were also sort of dangerous to your energy in that lifetime. They're trying to get you off your path.
Ooh, fascinating.
Yeah. So your dragon was protecting you from that.
Interesting. I love it. That's kind of cool. I was like, I know it's protection, but I was like, from what?
Yeah.
Like, strange.
Now, I know, like, we're going to wrap this up but I just wanted to mention that and maybe you could help the audience understand your latest direction you've been called to go in spiritually. And what I'm talking about is how you're getting called out to nature areas or even areas in the city to do sort of, I guess, what would you say it was? You're being called to do this work.
I want to say it's along the lines of working with ley lines, but it's a little bit deeper, because what we know about ley lines, or what most people know, isn't exactly what I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing beyond it. I'm seeing layers. I'm seeing like a huge connective information center, right? And there's certain things that I have to neutralize or just close them, open certain ones, make sure they're positive. It's an interesting, because I have a feeling a lot of these ley lines are used, could be used for better with humans, right? Like, we're actually quite magical, and Earth is quite magical, but I have a feeling a lot of these have been like closed off by the deep state. So I've been called to kind of open these a little bit, and this came in a vision. And it was the most intense vision I've ever had in my entire life, right? Or like in the last 2 years, let's put it that way. So it was just something that I'm called to. And of course, one of the other things I know is that most humans, because we're all very magical, we're very, there's way more to us than we know. Even just being out in nature and holding space, like pure love, joy, happiness, just grounding in nature and making a conscious effort to be in a really good positive space, that alone makes a huge difference. But I ended up getting this vision, caught me out of nowhere, to go and change some of the directions of things. So when I get there, they tell me what I need to do, right? I don't, it's not something that needs to be done constantly or in every city. I'm sure there's people doing it all over Calgary, which is great. It's not just me, right? But it's kind of cool. And it's just that's the evolution of my spiritual journey, right? I was potions and helping people with positive energy, and now I'm spiritual counselor, and now I'm changing the vibration, which is awesome. Right? No big deal.
I love it. We're going to have all of Ashley's information below the video. And good luck on your new endeavors, Ashley. So wonderful. So wonderful.
I'll keep everybody updated.
And people, I'm sure everybody's excited because they've gotten to know Ashley Sage, that mysterious woman on my Deep Dive Fridays. They've gotten to know her a little better.
I love it.
Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
On Deep Dive Fridays.
Yeah.